Right, so down to our last selection tools here. I've done the marquee tool, the lasso tool. Now let's have a look at this. We've got quick selection and a magic wand. So let's choose the magic wand tool first. And the magic wand tool has been in Photoshop for quite some time, and it is a really effective selection tool. Basically, we click on the image and the selection will grow again until it reaches an area of contrast and it'll stop. But we've got a bit of control over this. Okay, so I'm clicking here. It's not really picking up a lot for me. I can press my shift key and add in to the selection. But if I look up into my control bar up here, again I mentioned earlier this is sensitive to the tool we've got selected. Okay, we've got the same buttons here that we had earlier, so we can just automatically add or automatically subtract. But again, Shift and Alt will do that for us. We don't necessarily need to come up there. But this bit here is really useful, this tolerance look. This is basically the strength of the selection. So if I increase this to say 70 and make a selection, okay, see it becomes a lot more stronger. Let me increase it again, 80. There, so Shift. So pressing Shift, I can click in here, nearly there. Let's go right up to say 120. Click there, select. Again, I'm going a bit too far, so you can see I can really adjust this. 100. Let's try that. Click, Shift, Shift, Alt and click again to remove. So you can see we're adding and subtracting. Again, it's clicking a bit too much up for me here, but I could press Shift and keep adding in. So I've got too much that I want here, so this again where I can come back to my lasso tool. Okay, let's press my Alt key and let's get rid of all this that we don't want here. There, look, Alt key, get rid of here. So again, I've got a pretty good selection quite quickly. Shift key, add in these bits here. Okay, so using these tools together can really be really effective. And say the magic wand tool is very good. Let's go back to it for clicking on certain areas. So I've got it quite strong now, so let's turn it right down again to 20. Just want to select little bits here or this little bit here. Again, Shift key, you can add in. It selects similar colours and grows, so it is a very good selection tool, but it's a bit, you don't have a huge amount of control over it. Okay, so let me just select and deselect again, because I'm going to come down to the next tool, quick selection tool. So the magic wand tool has been in Photoshop for quite some time and it is a very useful one, but the quick selection tool is it's come in later versions, but it's a really good selection tool. It works on the same kind of intelligence of the magic wand tools, and it uses the contrast of the image to grab the selection, but we've got a lot more control here. We're basically going to paint in what we want to have selected. So let's choose the quick selection tool and look at our options. So again, in my control bar, okay, I've got a normal, a plus and a minus, again, which is going to add or subtract to the selection. Okay, so what I'd suggest on this one is keep it on plus, because every time I paint in, I'm going to add in to that selection. Now the strength of this selection is controlled by this brush head. So you can see I've got a circular brush head on my cursor. If I click here, okay, this is the size of it. Let's increase it there. So the bigger that is, the more it's going to select for us. Okay, so it can be really delicate with it, or we can be quite strong to grab what we want. So let's just put it at a reasonable size, leave it on plus, and basically as I start to paint, look, see how quickly that works. So I just click. What I don't want to do is touch the background. The moment I touch that, it's going to start to select it. So let's just come around here, look how quick that goes. Again, I'm not holding shift or anything, so I'm always on plus, so just literally within seconds. And I did that quite slowly then for you, but let me go back in my history to deselect. So let me just literally drag down, look how quickly that selects. Okay, so it's really really good. But again, if we go too far with it, I've still got my Alt key, I can tweak the selection around with. Okay, so we can still manipulate it around a bit. I mean, generally what I say to people is, if you're trying to make a selection, always start with the quick selection tool, because it's the best, the most advanced tool that Photoshop has. If that can't select it, or that might make a reasonable selection, so say we've got a little bit more here, this again is where we can go back to something like our lasso tool, hold down the Alt key and get rid of that bit we don't want. Okay, but select, let's just select and deselect, but really with my quick selection tool, very quickly, look, I can get a really good selection of that part of the image. So that is the basic selection tools covered. Now everything, as I mentioned earlier, we do need to really have control over these selection tools and understand what purposes they're good for, because we need to select things. So with this, I mean, I might want to remove this flower from the background and put it on something else. Okay, I might want to change the brightness or the contrast of this. We need to be able to select parts of an image to make sure we can make adjustments to those particular parts.